would like to invite Robert Kirschner, please come up and offer our reflection today on this first Sunday of Stewardship.
Going to pop this off so I can walk around a little bit. With two beautiful services after liturgy with the memorial and for the 50th anniversary, I was asked to take my remarks and trim it down to about 30 minutes. So it was a warm-up. That's a joke. As Father said, I'm Bob Kirschner, and my wife, Claudine, who's in New York City right now attending a work conference, and our 4 children joined the community about 3 years ago. Actually, in about a month, it'll be about 3 years ago. And if you think back then, everyone's wearing masks still, we're spread out, and a lot of activity is suppressed. But we slowly got involved and warmed up through Bible study, children getting involved in the Goya activities and all of the youth activities at the parish. And I've been able to serve on the Stewardship Committee. I've helped with some of the endowment work in setting up the bylaws and feel really blessed to be able to get immersed in that way. And as I thought about the stewardship and how we give back to the church and make those decisions, I immediately thought about my work, because I think it helps guide some of that decision-making for me, and hopefully it'll provide some inspiration for you. I serve as the Chief Philanthropy Officer for the YMCA of Greater Cleveland, and have spent 20 years in Cleveland in various roles, but doing development work, philanthropy, advancement, and there's a lot of moving parts and pieces to that, but at the end of the day, philanthropy or development activity really is quite simple. We stand, those of us who work in that profession, we stand at this intersection of lifting up the mission or the priorities, the values of an organization, and getting to match that with what brings people joy. What is the mission of an organization, and what is it that brings someone joy? And then their expression of that through our work is making a gift, writing checks, giving of their earthly treasure to that organization. So as I think about our stewardship, and as how we make our decisions in terms of filling out our cards, but also on the stewardship committee, or and ask you to think about when you receive the stewardship pieces, what brings you joy? This shouldn't be and isn't an obligation. This isn't something that people feel like they must do. It's a joyful opportunity. So some of the things I mentioned for us, right, with our children being involved in different activities, being able to assist with various committees, praying and assisting behind the altar with Father's blessing, these are things that bring joy to me and to us as a family. And certainly for all of us, it's going to be a different story for each person. But the one unifying thing for all of us is the joy of the resurrection and what that means for us as a church and as a community. So I just wanted to sort of focus and reflect on that single word, joy, because that really is the impetus and should be the impetus for your giving as you think about your giving. And it's a much more joyful, right, a much more whole process when you frame it that way. So when you receive and when we receive our piece in the mail, we'll reflect on that joy, pray upon what we should do, and then make our stewardship commitment to the parish. So thank you for this opportunity. It's wonderful to be with everyone. And Father, thank you for everything that you do to help bring joy to this community and in our worship together.
I ask to come forth and offer our reflection. Can I ask Eleni Johnson to start coming up, please? We were so blessed last week to hear from Robert Kirschner, who spoke so beautifully on the joy of giving. And today, Eleni will also offer a reflection. How many years have you been doing the Greek dancer again? 14 years. So we came in together. Eleni has been leading this beautiful ministry, which was started by others, continued, and now it was her turn. And as her son is graduating in a couple of years, I'm sure she'll be one more year. So we've got to put our brains together and see who the successor will be. But Eleni, the microphone is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. When I was asked to speak to the community, I sat to formulate my thoughts, and some common words kept coming to my mind.
A little closer.
Home, family, love, etc. Yes, this is our home. Yes, we enjoy sitting with family every week. And yes, we feel the love from every good morning and smile we receive. But after some thought, there was another word that came to me: investment. I know investment isn't a word that is typically coming to our minds on a Sunday morning. It's not as warm and soft as love and family. But if we really think about the word, we realize how strong of a word it is and how important it is for us here today. When we invest in something, we realize the value it brings. We realize it helps us and makes things better for us. We invest our time, our energy, our love, our money, all to make our lives better. We invest in our marriages, our family life, our home, our children's education, our jobs, and our financial portfolios. And if I were to ask every one of you here to add to that list, it would go on and on. But I want to talk about the couple words I just listed. From the day we commit our lives to our spouses, look into the eyes and hold our new babies, and watch our families grow, we know that every breath is an investment in our family. It's to ensure we keep our family safe and warm and on the right track. When we buy our home, we all know it becomes our biggest financial investment. It will require constant attention. Upkeep is a necessity. Repairs will always be in front of us. And if we don't invest time, energy, and money, it will not withstand. And when we start our careers and look into the future, we save our money and invest in our 401ks. We start portfolios and buy stocks. We do that because we are preparing for our financial stability, investing in our later years of life. And by being here today, every one of us is investing in our spiritual growth and our church. Thousands of cars drive down Wallings every day, and people see a church, a building, soccer fields, a preschool, an event center. But to every one of us, it is so much more. It is our church, and it needs to be our investment. There are many things we could have done this morning, but we're here. We took the time to come, to bring our kids, and to invest in their spiritual future, to offer to this community our time, to bake, to teach, to sing, to serve. And just like our marriages, our home, and our retirement, if we don't invest the proper time and energy in them, they will not flourish. As we enter 2022, thankfully our parish council heard the need and hired a new full-time youth director. Coming off of COVID, where churches are struggling to bring the youth back, I am happy to tell you that all of our programs are flourishing. We saw that with communion today and all the kids. Our parish council made the initial investment for our children and grandchildren, but now it is up to us to support that investment. If we don't invest in this community, what will we have? An empty church. There are so many churches that don't have communities like ours. And not only are their youth programs struggling, but their volunteers are also passing away, and there's no one coming behind them to help. Whether you've been born and raised here, been coming to St. Paul for 5, 10, 15 years, 18 like my family, or maybe today is your first visit, every one of us has the opportunity to invest in this community, and I can assure you that each one of our investments will keep this community flourishing for generations to come. As the stewardship envelopes are reaching our homes, remember those before us that worked so hard to build this church, but also what we have accomplished in the most recent years. We paved the parking lot. We replaced the roof. We restored the iconography and the dome in this beautiful church. The Hellenic Center and the bathrooms have all been revamped. Finishing touches are being done on the church sign by the elevator and the Welcome Center, and our latest investment in the boiler system. We did that. None of that would have been done without the investment of all of us. And consider how this 50-plus-year-old church would look if we hadn't invested in it the way we have. Last Sunday, Bob Kirschner mentioned the joy. And think about when we make our 2023 donation pledge, the joy that we receive from this community. Please add the word investment to those thoughts and ask, am I investing in our beloved St. Paul Church like I do the other important things in our life? Thank you.
Eleni, thank you so much for your investment. So at this time, let me invite Liam Markos to come up. Liam will be our final speaker this week, a young man who has grown up in this community. He just started college at Kent State. So wonderful to have you back at St. Paul, and he will give our reflection today. God bless you. Yeah.
Good
A
morning.
little closer, closer to the microphone.
Kalimera.
Closer, closer. Don't be afraid. Come closer. You got
Is that good? Okay. I want to first thank Father Kostas for inviting me to speak today. And I also want to congratulate Nicholas on becoming our new choir director. To many of our friends and neighbors, St. Paul means the Greek festival. And to those of you that know me, the festival means so much to me. But St. Paul is much more than that. As I get older, having changed schools, jobs, and even where I live, St. Paul has always remained a constant to me. It is a continuation of my Papa and Yaya choosing to make St. Paul their place of worship. My Papa used to talk about our Sunday services in the beginning in the basement of Parma City Hall. While my Yaya enjoyed many churches and monasteries around Northeast Ohio, St. Paul was always her main place of worship. St. Paul is also familiar to me. Hearing the beautiful chants and hymns, as well as the sweet smell of incense, the lighting of the candles, and trying to understand the gospel. Listening to the sermon, receiving Holy Communion, and going downstairs to the coffee social. All of these things uplift me. Through good times and bad times, St. Paul is always here. It is always consistent, week after week, month after month, and year after year. It is a place for me to come and connect with God. St. Paul is where I find comfort, and St. Paul is my home. Thank you.
Thank you so much.